My name is Sophie and this is the second video in the Our World series. In this video, we are carrying on from what we learned in video 1 about the present atmosphere and looking at modern changes to carbon dioxide levels. Carbon dioxide is a key part of global warming and climate change, which we will look at more thoroughly in the next video. The levels of CO2 remained relatively constant until approximately 100 years ago, when the concentration began to increase drastically. There are various reasons this has happened, but the main 3 points that we will cover in this video are deforestation, increased burning of fossil fuels, and population growth. First, we will look at deforestation. Deforestation is the permanent removal of trees in order to make room for something else. The reduction in the number of trees decreases photosynthesis, which leads to less CO2 being removed from the atmosphere. It is even more destructive if the forests are burnt, as this releases CO2 as well as removing other smaller plants that also photosynthesize. An example of where this happens a lot is in the Amazon rainforest. Farmers want to clear the land for cattle grazing, which accounts for about 80% of current deforestation rates. This is roughly about 450,000 square kilometers of deforested rainforest, so about the size of Sweden, used in Brazil for cattle ranching, with approximately 200 million cattle being there. It is more disastrous to cut down the Amazon rainforest than a normal forest because it is the largest land carbon sink, with the vegetation absorbing on average 2 billion tons of CO2 per year. The soil is also very infertile and lacks nutrients. So once the rainforest is disrupted, it is very hard to replant any vegetation, thus it is not very good for crops. The typical tree, like the trees we find in the UK, can absorb around 21 kilograms of CO2 a year, whereas a tropical tree, like those found in rainforests, can absorb around 22.6 kilograms of carbon per year. The difference is 1.6 kilograms, which is approximately the same as a pineapple, and typically rainforests are a lot denser. However, scientists are now worried that tropical forests are losing their ability to absorb CO2 due to trees drying out from drought and higher temperatures, so it is more important than ever that we prevent deforestation. The second point affecting CO2 levels is the increased burning of fossil fuels. CO2 is a byproduct of the combustion of fossil fuels for energy, and as we know from the previous video, the combustion of fossil fuels is at an all-time high, meaning more CO2 than ever is being released. However, we are developing lots of different renewable energy sources such as wind turbines and solar farms, which are great alternatives to fossil fuels. Lastly, the population growth on Earth is having a huge impact on CO2 levels. The population level as of March 2021 is 7.8 billion, where it was only 2 billion in the 1930s. In just over 100 years, the world's population will have more than quadrupled, as the United Nations predicts that by 2057 we will have a global population of 10 billion. More people means that there is more respiration, thus more oxygen is taken in and more CO2 released. But there will also be an increase in demand for energy and agriculture being food. So therefore, the points we covered earlier, deforestation and burning of fossil fuels, will increase. Let's take a look at a simple test we can carry out to see if CO2 is present. We can bubble the gas through lime water. If the lime water goes cloudy, CO2 is present. The lime water is a solution of calcium hydroxide in water, and it has a pH greater than 7, so is therefore an alkali. It turns cloudy when the CO2 is bubbled through because CO2 gas is acidic and reacts to form a precipitate of calcium carbonate. See you in the next video, where we will discuss climate change and what steps we can take to prevent it.